Emotions is likely one of the most overlooked spells in Baldur's Gate 3. This level 2 enchantment spell enables spellcasters to magically calm intense emotions in targeted creatures. The affected target becomes neutral towards any creatures it was previously hostile to. Additionally, it cannot be charmed or frightened for the duration of the spell, and if cast on targets that are already charmed, frightened, or enraged, it immediately ends those mind-affecting conditions. For the purpose of this video, we will utilize it to eliminate the lured condition during the battle with the Harpies in the secluded cove in Act 1. It's puzzling why this spell is so underrated, especially since it can be effectively applied in numerous situations. On higher difficulty settings, like Honor Mode, it can genuinely be a lifesaver. Contrary to its description, there are no restrictions on targeting humanoids only, and several enemies possess unique rage-like effects that can be dispelled with calm emotions. This includes any effect within the rage status group, such as the Owlbear's Rage, the Distressed debuff from the Owlbear Mother, the Spider Queen's Wrath, the Frenzied Fury used by Flint, the Bloodlust from Redcaps, the Berserk effect from Flesh, the Deathbringer's Legacy from Saravok Anchev, and the Mist Most Scarlet from Orin. As we all know, in Baldur's Gate 3, the top tier and most costly equipment is limited and typically hard to come by. Therefore, you need to think carefully before selling anything, and it can be quite a struggle to decide which party member should get a rare, unique weapon. What many players may still not know is that there's a simple trick that lets you duplicate literally any weapon as many times as you want in just a few seconds, without any mods required. The key idea is to use Invoke Duplicity to create a clone that has the weapon you want to duplicate. Then, you can execute a disarming attack, and if it works, the illusion will disappear. But the extra weapon will remain for you to collect. Naturally, Shadowheart is the best choice for this.
Without delay.
In Baldur's Gate 3, players can circumvent the usual resource limitations by utilizing various mechanical exploits, enabling them to accumulate hundreds of sorcery points or spell slots prior to a significant battle, all without the need for mods. The quickest early strategy involves the Item Equip exploit. Certain items provide an additional spell slot when equipped, and due to a persistent bug, removing and re-equipping these items refreshes the slot each time. A popular item for this is the Shield of Devotion, available for purchase from Quartermaster Tally near the last light-in waypoint in Act 2. By unequipping and re-equipping it, you can gain one level 1 spell slot every time, which can then be converted into a sorcery point. This method also applies to the Spellcrux Amulet for level 2 slots, effectively doubling the speed of the process. You can find it at the Moonrise Tower's prison, worn by the Warden. And there's the Potion of Angelic Reprieve Loop, which in my opinion stands out as the most authentic feeling method. This potion can be acquired from Lantarv at Moonrise Towers or Lucretius at the Circus of the Last Days. Additionally, it can be crafted through alchemy, by combining Essence of Unicorn Horn with any salt. The entity affected by this potion will fall asleep for 2 rounds, and when they awaken, they will benefit from a short rest, with all first and second level spell slots restored. Thus, the solution is quite simple. Convert all your current level 1 and 2 slots into sorcery points. Drink the potion to regain those slots, convert them back, and repeat the process to gather the required sorcery points. Given that you can refresh a trader's inventory at any time by leveling up any character or hiring a hireling from Withers, you can farm points without limit. One of the most effective applications of Disguise Self is to gain the ability to use race-specific weapons and armor, giving you an advantage in combat. Certain weapons can only provide their unique attributes if the user belongs to a specific race. Take the famous Githyanki Greatsword, for instance. It possesses the Githborn Psionic Weapon attribute, which allows its wielders to inflict an extra 1d4 psychic damage. But this attribute is only granted if the wielder is a Githyanki. In this case, I'm using it with Lae'zel, and the psychic damage shows up instantly. While if you use it as a paladin, you won't see any psychic damage at all.
Try me.
However, by becoming a Githyanki, you can fully exploit this sword. For example, here's Shadowheart in the form of a Githyanki. As you probably already know, there are numerous other race-specific items in Baldur's Gate 3, and you might not always have every race and class represented in your party to exploit these tactics. Thus, Disguise Self remains a fantastic strategy for winning difficult battles, if your bard or human ranger isn't performing up to par. Do you recall the gilded chest located in the Owlbear's nest? Without a doubt. We all took our share of radiant damage while attempting to open it. We will demonstrate a little trick that allows you to leverage the 4d6 radiant damage from the gilded chest's protective shield to wipe out a swarm of goblins in the goblin camp, all without a fight or even making them aggressive. Sounds like a blast, right? Your first move is to grab the chest and carry it to the goblin camp, ensuring that its protective shield is still operational. To lift it in this state, you need to be a Selûnite cleric, or you can recruit one via Withers, which is what I chose to do.
What now? Moon Maiden's Grace. It's open.
Your next move is to sell the chest to Gret the Trader after entering the goblin camp. This way, the chest becomes goblin property. And now comes the tricky part. If you successfully pickpocket Gret, stealing back the chest, all you need to do is to drop down the chest wherever you want, and simply watch how the goblins will try to reclaim it, just to get burned to ashes. Undoubtedly, some of them will achieve successful saving throws, but all you really need to do is relocate the chest around the camp as many times as you like.
I fight far and wide for great glory. Draw Raxlin's best makers and blades in the goblin.
Not for communal use, it seems.
Absolute. His troops will disarm you and grow you the truth. Laugh if you dare, toil if you must. A new age is dawning with goblins and trust. Mountains, great mortals, I fight far and wide for great glory. Draw Raxlin's best makers and blades in the quarry. Be you beguiling, or be you beheaded? Goblin kind will tease you and sprout you and redden. His name is Draw Raxlin, his voice. A new age is dawning with goblins and trust. Mountains, great mortals, all hinders to quake. The true souls are...
Who wants another drink?
Goblins!
If you're somewhat familiar with Baldur's Gate 3, you've likely encountered the moment when Shah's umbral tremors summon a multitude of dark justiciars to face you, while Balthazar and his minions linger behind a massive locked circular door in the same vicinity. Most players usually opt for the standard approach of battling the dark justiciars to reach Balthazar, but there's a clever strategy that can actually persuade Balthazar to assist you in the fight against Shah's minions. To achieve this, simply cast the knock spell on the locked door, which typically necessitates a DC 30 roll to unlock. Once you manage to open the door, Balthazar and his followers will join the fray. So if your goal is to eliminate Balthazar, you can just wait in his chamber and allow the Dark Justiciars to handle the heavy lifting for you.
You think striking down my body will be the end of me?
At the ready.
As you might already be aware, in Baldur's Gate 3, you can disrupt an enemy's concentration by inflicting damage, which compels them to make a Constitution saving throw. While high damage strikes are useful, delivering several low damage blows, such as with Magic Missile, proves to be more effective since each damage instance requires a separate saving throw. Additionally, simply knocking an enemy prone can be effective, similar to various incapacitating effects like sleep or banishment. What you might not yet realize is that casting the Grease level 1 conjuration spell can also achieve this, causing enemies to fall prone. This method is even more advantageous due to its area of effect, which can incapacitate multiple foes at once. To take down Raphael in Baldur's Gate 3 with a single blow, players generally use a combination of vulnerability debuffs and powerful burst damage setups, like the Eldritch Blast machine gun that capitalizes on stacking charisma modifiers, and additional actions through Sorcerer or Warlock builds, or the Archer Slaying builds, that leverage high-level Ranger Rogue Fighter multi-classing. Our favorite technique is a huge Barrelmancy nuke, which is essentially a backpack stuffed with smoke powder barrels, rune powder vials, orthonic hand bombs, and other typical explosives. In our view, this is the most literal method to one-shot him by delivering all damage at the exact same moment. Just watch. Same moment. Just watch.
Hell, hell, hell has its laws. Hell, hell, effect in the cause.
No more devils, no more debts. With its master gone, the house is nothing more now than an empty carcass.
There's a neat trick that allows you to defeat Gortash in about 3 moves, all without actually engaging him in a fight. This can be a fantastic option on higher difficulty levels, or if you're not on your first playthrough and simply want to progress more quickly without going through another long and tough battle. Begin by using the improvised melee weapon to toss Gortash across the room, but before you throw him, quickly teleport to the south span of Worm's waypoint. Once you're at the waypoint with Gortash beside you, activate the improvised melee weapon again, pull him near the ledge, and quickly cancel the action to avoid the throw. Finally, just use shove to dispose of him. And that's it. You've effectively taken down Gortash in just a few seconds, without any fighting. Pushing Auntie Ethel into the void is a highly effective, though somewhat cheesy tactic to defeat her in Act 1, but it does come with the drawback of losing her loot. During the encounter in her lair, make sure to position your strongest characters near the large chasm at the center of the room, and use the shove bonus action to send her over the edge.
That cage won't last!
As you may already know, the Silence Level 2 Illusion spell allows spellcasters to generate a sphere of total silence in a specified area. Sorcerers can utilize the subtle spell metamagic to bypass the verbal restriction, but otherwise, within this sphere, creatures cannot cast verbal spells. You can easily identify them, because if a spell is grayed out in your user interface, it can't be cast while you are silenced. What you might not yet understand is that it is indeed feasible to cast spells while silenced, as long as they do not require a verbal component. For the purpose of this video, we will demonstrate a few examples such as the Minor Illusion cantrip or the Ice Knife and Hypnotic pattern spells, but there is an extensive list of spells you can cast while silenced, and if you are curious, you can find the link in the description below.
See it. It's up there and we're down here.
That's why we need to walk just a little more. One foot in front of the other.
Seeing that for days.
Everything you want for supper. All the treats your tummy can handle.
I'm never allowed sweet things right before bed.
This one time we'll make it. I know, but you'll be in a big, cozy bed soon.
That's why we need to walk just a little more.
Seeing that for days.
What are you calling this business?
I know, little one, but you'll be in a big.
Anything you want for supper. All the treats your tummy can handle.
I'm never allowed sweet things right before bed.
This one time we'll make an exception.
In Baldur's Gate 3, Eyebite is a level 6 necromancy spell that is often underestimated and overlooked, despite its incredible power and potential to be a lifesaver in situations with multiple foes. This spell can be acquired by bards, sorcerers, warlocks, and wizards at level 11, and level 6 wizards can also copy a scroll of Eyebite into their spellbooks. The spell lacks detailed information about its effects, which likely contributes to its underappreciation among players. To truly understand its capabilities, you need to learn and cast it. Once you do, you'll realize that Eyebite enables casters to impose one of 3 debilitating conditions on a single target. Specifically, while maintaining concentration, you can cast 3 variants of Eyebite without using a spell slot, allowing you to inflict panicked, sickened, or asleep. This may seem nice, but not particularly remarkable, right? Well, to uncover the true strength of Eyebite, you need to start utilizing it. You'll discover that these variants are spells that are given to the caster after the original is cast, and can be reused without expending another spell slot as long as concentration is maintained. In simpler terms, you can cast Sleep, Fear, or Sickened once per turn, with each effect lasting for 10 turns. This means you can continuously target different enemies, while all previous casts will still be active for their full duration of 10 turns, making Eyebite the ultimate crowd control spell that allows you to incapacitate up to 10 different foes, 1 each turn.
Still breathing, despite everything. Time to push my luck again.
The Steel Watch don't need to talk. They're guards.
Sure, Gortash didn't.
As you may already be aware, the Twist of Fortune is a rare +1 Morningstar that can be acquired from Geringo the Thorm at the Wreathwind Tollhouse during Act 2. This weapon features a unique action known as Blood Money, which provides an extra +4 proficiency bonus piercing damage for every 300 gold that the target holds. In simpler terms, you can sneak up to high HP bosses and fill their inventory with a large amount of gold, allowing you to potentially one-shot any target that is wealthy enough. As you can imagine, this tactic was widely abused, and after Larian had enough, they nerfed the ability to recover the gold in Patch 5 to prevent players from reverse pickpocketing gold onto enemies, hitting them with the Twist of Fortune, and then taking back their gold to do it again. It still works, and is one of the most popular overpowered methods for one-shotting bosses and tough enemies. But now the gold is permanently consumed and cannot be looted from the enemy's corpse. So, if you have a lot of disposable income lying around and want the power of a nuke, Baldur's Gate 3 will take your gold for the privilege. But you can achieve incredible damage outputs reaching thousands of points, capable of one-shotting even the toughest bosses in the game. Calculating the amount of gold needed is super easy. For example, Saravok has 262 health, and the minimum base damage of my Blood Money action is 13, so I need an additional 249 damage for a one-shot kill. Knowing that I can produce +4 damage with 300 gold, the math is straightforward. I will need about 18,000 gold to take down all his health points with one hit. As you likely already know, there are 3 rune powder barrels in Baldur's Gate 3. One is positioned next to Philomene in Grimforge, while the other 2 are located in Angleron's cellar in Rivington. Recently, one of my subscribers reached out with a question about the best times and places to deploy these rune powder barrels, so I'm in the process of creating a video that will highlight at least 4 or 5 different locations and scenarios. For now though, let me share a quick example. Ansur's lair, which lies beneath Worm's Rock Fortress. This encounter is among the toughest in the entire game, and whether it's your first time playing or not, leveraging those rune powder barrels against Ansur is certainly a smart strategy if you wish to bypass a long and challenging battle, or if you simply want to progress more swiftly. In this video, you can see how I defeated Ansur with literally one move, utilizing what I like to call a backpack bomb. A backpack loaded with rune powder barrels and various explosives. From our standpoint, Arcane Lock is likely one of the most overlooked spells in Baldur's Gate 3, yet it can be incredibly effective if you know how to apply it. This level 2 Abjuration spell allows you to magically seal a door or container for 10 turns, making them impervious to lockpicking, or the Knock spell. What a lot of players don't realize is that with a little imagination, this frequently ignored spell can actually be a lifesaver. For instance, it stops NPCs from hearing or seeing what's happening on the other side of the door. Likewise, you can prevent enemies from entering or exiting a room, which allows you to engage in combat right by the door without other foes hearing the conflict and rushing to assist. This tactic can be particularly useful when there are numerous enemies nearby, such as in the Last Light Inn or the Githyanki Creche. Some foes will even stand next to the door to melee attack it from the other side, giving you the opportunity to use spells like Spirit Guardians to deal damage through the locked door. Moreover, before casting Arcane Lock, you can even place a large AoE spell in front of the door inside the room to damage the enemies trapped within. And the greatest advantage is that Arcane Lock doesn't require concentration at all. In Baldur's Gate 3, players will face numerous, nearly impossible high-end checks, such as the notorious 99 DC against the Netherbrain in Act 3, or the DC 30 challenges found in the Creche, along with the tough locks in the Counting House bank vaults, and some legendary persuasion tests like convincing Yrgir or Viconia, among others. Many videos and resources claim that through optimization, players have achieved total rolls in the 40s, 50s, and even exceeding 100. However, reaching these levels will require various strategies or items, including class-specific ability check enhancements, expertise and proficiency builds, amulets, shields, robes, and more. To keep this brief, we won't delve into all these details. Instead, we'll present an alternative method that guarantees DC rolls ranging from 54 to 249. Just watch. For this video, we will be employing a two-step technique that involve stacking sorcery points and utilizing the Bend Luck ability check bonus available to level 6 Wild Magic Sorcerers. If necessary, you can always hire a Wild Sorcerer from Withers, and we believe this method is significantly simpler than spending excessive time on crafting specific builds or gathering multiple non-conflicting items or ability enhancements. To begin, as I mentioned, your first step should be to accumulate as many sorcery points as possible. We have previously covered this topic in another video, and if you're unfamiliar with it, you can find the link in the description below. For the second step, have your sorcerer continuously apply the Bend Luck ability check bonus on your dialogue character until the sorcerer exhausts their sorcery points. Each time, the dialogue character will receive a +1 d4 bonus to ability checks. And that's it. Here it is against the well-known 99 DC at the Morphic Pool.
Use the stones. Focus on the clown. You won't allow it. Again, dominate it.
We are all familiar with and appreciate the Darkness and Fog Cloud spells. Darkness, classified as a level 2 evocation spell, enables spellcasters to create a cloud of darkness in a designated area that obscures vision and causes blindness to anyone caught within it. Fog Cloud is a level 1 conjuration spell that permits spellcasters to generate a sphere of fog in a specified area, significantly obscuring visibility and blinding creatures present in that space. The primary purpose of these spells is to block ranged attacks from penetrating a specific area. What many players tend to forget is that a variety of spells can also be effectively employed in situations that don't involve combat. Take these two spells, for example. They can be used to hide an area you intend to steal from, enabling you to carry out other unlawful deeds without facing any consequences. This is a smart and useful tactic when you're unable to purchase something, or when you really want that item that's just waiting to be taken, but you wish to keep your gameplay intact despite your misdeeds.
What is spoken, and so is it done. Great God, helm. Allow us peace in this plane and beyond. Teach us care when we would be reckless.
We'll never put this fire out. You're better off helping anyone trapped inside.
God, helm. Allow us peace in this plane and beyond. Teach us care when we would be reckless. Teach us certainty when we would have doubt. So it is spoken, and so is it done. Great God, helm. Allow us peace in this plane and beyond. Teach us care when we would be reckless. Teach us certainty when we would have doubt.
The web spell is classified as a level 2 conjuration. It enables spellcasters to summon a sticky and flammable web in a designated area within their range. Any creatures that move into or enter this area will have their speed reduced by half and may become ensnared in the web. What many players don't realize is that by crafting a web, it can function as a cushioned surface to jump onto from elevated heights, completely negating any falling damage. You won't even be knocked prone. This is a clever and highly effective strategy when you need to jump from high locations and don't have access to featherfall. This benefit.
Teach us care when we would be reckless.
No time to rest.
Teach us certainty when we would have doubt. So is it done.
Making me sweat.
Great God, helm. Allow us peace in this plane and beyond. Teach us
Waiting.
care when we would be reckless. Teach us certainty when we would have doubt. So it is spoken, and so is it done.
There are many discussions and even debates among fans about the overall usefulness of the Mage Hand summon in Baldur's Gate 3. In my opinion, the Mage Hand can prove to be quite beneficial in various situations, but I will cover that in one of my future videos. For now, I want to share a clever combat strategy that enables you to utilize your Mage Hand summon as a powerful ally in battle. In numerous combat situations, it can genuinely be a lifesaver, as the additional damage it provides can significantly alter the fight's outcome. The key point, which many players are still unaware of, is that you can actually assign a weapon to your Mage Hand. Furthermore, the Mage Hand can be employed to activate particular weapon abilities, like the Shriek from the Phalar Alluve. The catch is that you can't simply drag a weapon into the Mage Hand's weapon slot as you might think. Instead, you need to drop the weapon on the ground first, then select the Mage Hand and choose the pickup action. Baldur's Gate 3 makes it clear from the start that your choices have repercussions. This is what makes an evil playthrough incredibly thrilling. Yet embracing true villainy often entails significant costs, including sacrifices and losses as well. One of the best examples is undoubtedly Dammon. He is significant for a number of reasons. Not only will he assist you in obtaining some impressive endgame equipment, but more importantly, he is the only person who can modify Karlach's infernal engine heart enough for you to romance her. The main issue is that you need to help him stay alive through Acts 1 and 2, which is pretty much impossible if you are looking to raid the Emerald Grove or eliminate the Night Song. Still, there's a handy trick that will help you keep any character you want alive, no matter how villainous you aim to be. All you have to do is take the selected character far away from the current scene before you proceed with your actions. You can do this by using Karlach's improvised melee weapon on your targets, picking them up, carrying them, and then, while holding them, teleporting to a safe waypoint. Just watch.
At the ready.
What's it going to take?
All right, what now?
And that's it. As you continue to progress to the point where you should reunite with the specified characters, they will be there, alive and thriving.
I'll be here if you need anything else.
If you're acquainted with Baldur's Gate 3, you probably already know that some of the finest items in the game can be acquired from Echo of Abazagal if you opt to embrace Bhaal and become an unholy assassin. The Bhaalist armor is an exceptionally rare piece of light armor that provides the aura of murder and enhances your initiative rolls. The Aura of Murder is a toggleable passive ability that generates an aura, rendering enemies within 3 meters susceptible to piercing damage unless they possess immunity to it. This effectively means they will suffer double damage, which can be immensely powerful, resulting in some of the highest damage outputs. Thus, obtaining this incredibly rare armor is highly advisable. However, choosing to become an unholy assassin may not be the route you wish to take. Therefore, we've decided to share a little trick that will enable you to acquire this fantastic armor without having to accept Bhaal, a trick that most players have never even heard of. So, while conversing with Sarevok using your main character, after selecting the "I'm ready to be judged" dialogue option, a ghost of a previously slain NPC will appear. All you need to do is switch to another character and pickpocket the ghost, who, believe it or not, will grant you access to all of a Bezigal's inventory, including the Bhaalist armor.
Like a wraith.
In Baldur's Gate 3, Create or Destroy Water is classified as a level 1 transmutation spell, primarily available to clerics and druids. Surprisingly, it is still one of the most underrated and overlooked spells, despite the fact that Create or Destroy Water is genuinely overpowered. This spell functions as an incredibly adaptable tool, allowing you to either summon rain or evaporate water and fog. It can enhance lightning and cold builds, facilitate environmental combos, and effectively control the battlefield, among other things. In this video, we utilize it to drench enemies, which provides a substantial damage and shock boost for storm or lightning attacks. However, it can also be employed to create difficult terrain, freeze enemies with ice, extinguish flames, eliminate hazardous fire or water-based surfaces, reveal invisible foes, and remove the wet status from allies. As we all know, in Baldur's Gate 3, the top tier and most costly equipment is limited and typically hard to come by. Therefore, you need to think carefully before selling anything, and it can be quite a struggle to decide which party member should get a rare, unique weapon. What many players may still not know is that there's a simple trick that lets you duplicate literally any weapon as many times as you want in just a few seconds, without any mods required. The key idea is to use Invoke Duplicity to create a clone that has the weapon you want to duplicate. Then, you can execute a disarming attack, and if it works, the illusion will disappear. But the extra weapon will remain for you to collect. Naturally, Shadowheart is the best choice for this.
Without delay.
The well-known, yet often overlooked minor illusion cantrip proves to be incredibly beneficial in Baldur's Gate 3, even during combat scenarios. Its true power lies not in dealing direct damage in a turn-based fight, but rather in pre-combat preparation and manipulating the environment. Many players still perceive it as less potent compared to other cantrips, but the reality is that it provides numerous high-level tactical benefits. For instance, in battle, casting it compels enemies to redirect their attention towards the illusion. This can alter their vision cones, granting your stealth-oriented characters an advantage for sneak attacks. Additionally, you can entice foes towards ledges, chasms, or dangers, such as the heavy hammer found in the Adamantine Forge, for example. Furthermore, the illusion acts as a physical object that can activate pressure plates, or be positioned over poison vents to obstruct them. Another tactic we love, as shown in this video, is to attract several foes to a designated location, or a close-knit cluster prior to striking the area with a powerful AoE spell.
Sharp as ever.
Being arrested for assault. Judging by the look on this guard's face, you're getting off lightly.
Commander Jalk, the Cambion devil you meet on the Nautiloid ship at the beginning of the game, serves as an optional boss who carries one of the best weapons in the game, the Everburn Blade, which is the top sword you can find in Act 1. However, engaging him in combat can be quite risky, particularly if you are using an origin character, as this means your party only has 2 members, and you haven't rescued us to join you in the battle. However, as is frequently the case in Baldur's Gate 3, there is a clever trick that allows you to obtain this fantastic weapon without having to endure a long and dangerous fight with Jalk. If you are taking on the role of Shadowheart, or any cleric or paladin class, there is a traditional way to get the Everburn through the drop spell. This spell is a level 1 enchantment that enables spellcasters to command their target to drop their weapon and refrain from taking any other actions. This approach allows you to acquire this powerful sword early in the game without needing to defeat Jalk. Simply pick it up and head to the console to escape.
Nearly out of sky. It's now or never.
No time to waste.
In Baldur's Gate 3, while stealing isn't essential for completing the game, it becomes nearly necessary if you aim to acquire valuable items and significant amounts of gold with little risk. Clearly, there are various strategies and character builds that can assist you in becoming an effective thief. Yet many players often overlook the simplest and most apparent solutions. One particularly straightforward, but frequently ignored tactic, is one that helps you minimize the chances of failure when attempting to steal. As you likely know, the likelihood of failure increases as the value of the item rises. This means you can actually lower the difficulty class of your checks by pilfering smaller quantities of items or gold. To do this, simply access the barter menu and divide the trader's total gold into multiple smaller stacks. For instance, create 10 stacks of 100 gold instead of 1 stack of 1,000, allowing your best thief to steal these smaller amounts with a significantly reduced risk of failure.
A little souvenir.
Brighten up a loved one's grave with a bouquet, freshly clicked.
Almost too easy. Time for discretion. Let's go to pass.
There's a pickpocket operating nearby. You feel